Bulabinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tavenga Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news tonight, EFL shares now available. Chief Justice says sex offenders registry should be balanced. And huge turnover in construction companies.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Smith.
All domestic customers of Energy Fiji Limited can register and apply for a parcel of free share in the company from today. EFL has opened temporary customer care centres around the country to assist eligible customers. Ritika Pratap reports to qualify, customers need to be a domestic account holder with the EFL as of April 16th and a Fijian citizen residing in Fiji.
EFL domestic customers who are registered under the electricity subsidy scheme will be offered a parcel of 250 shares, while non-subsidized customers will be offered a parcel of 150 shares.
You could be having a number of accounts in your name because you have multiple flats or multiple properties. Now you will be only qualifying for one set of shares, one parcel of shares. So even if you have 10 electricity accounts in your name in the domestic sector, you will still only be eligible for one parcel of shares.
Future domestic customers will also have an opportunity to access these shares.
In the initial, shall I say, offer, we do not expect all the 25 million shares to be issued because, we are familiar with the number of customers, who basically could qualify, and should we offer the 120, 150 and 250 as per subsidized and non-subsidized, we will not be exhausting all the 25 million. So the remaining shares then will be put into a trust which will be looked after by a trustee, and future customers then could apply and receive those shares.
The trustee will have the requirements that need to be fulfilled for you to be allocated those shares. Those requirements will be very similar to what is required now, but should the trustee have further requirements, then you would have to meet those requirements to be eligible for those shares.
The EFL is aiming to issue the first lot of shares by mid-June. As a shareholder, you will be entitled to dividends once the company makes a profit, which will be credited to your electricity account. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
A welder from Nasinu who is alleged to have been involved in the importation of 41.6 grams of methamphetamine appeared in the Suva Magistrates Court today. Iyaz Muhammad is charged with 1 count of unlawful importation and 1 count of unlawful possession of drugs. The prosecution told the court that the package was sent from the United States of America and was addressed to Muhammad. The court heard that Muhammad collected the parcel from the FedEx office in Suva last Friday. He was arrested by the police while loading the 90 kg box into his car. He has been granted bail for $300 with 2 sureties and was told not to reoffend. A stop departure has also been issued against him. The case will be recalled on the 21st of next month. The Registration of Sex Offenders Bill needs to strike a fair balance between the safety of citizens and the stigma and rights of offenders. This was reiterated by Chief Justice Anthony Gates during his submission to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights this afternoon. Rachel Nuth reports the committee has a rough road ahead of them.
The Chief Justice posed a very tough question about the Sex Offenders Registry Bill to the committee this afternoon.
And you've got a child at primary school and there are members of the staff who might have the background, somebody's in their 30s but they have had a background, what would you say would be the obligation? Do you think as a parent you'd want to know about that before the staff were engaged?
That probably something the committee has to ponder upon and reach a decision, which I can't confirm now. But it's a very interesting question.
Also discussed were the roles of the judicial system and the registry of sex offenders. The Chief Justice says the two need to be completely separated.
Just trying to separate the roles of the court with the registrar of the Register of Sex Offenders. Again, I'm not clear on how this is administered in other jurisdictions.
These reporting obligations, and we should all be very clear about the reporting obligations. The judge or the magistrate tells the person, the registrar informs him or her of the reporting obligations, and then his own reporting obligations to the Commissioner of Police.
The Chief Justice says transitions to new legislations is difficult, hence it should not be rushed. The proposed sex offenders bill is intended to reduce the number of sex offenders in the country by monitoring convicted sex offenders. Rachel Narth, FBC News.
There is a huge turnover of construction companies in the country. The Construction Industry Council says most overseas construction companies just come and go compared to others who have been contracted in previous years. Sainyani Boiler reports.
The Construction Industry Council says most overseas construction companies being hired in Fiji by local contractors are undependable.
A lot of companies come and gone and have been less than welcome, actually. Due diligence on any of these things, with any of these people, to make sure that you have got a real person that you can deal with. Anybody's not making money, they're not going to stay here anyway. But that's what it's all about. Making money is what construction's all about.
Fiji Masters Builders Association Secretary Vijay Naidu says there should be standards in the building industry for judging the quality of work.
In the building industry is critical because at the moment we don't have anything that we can compare to. Now, if we have standards, then we can compare to. We can have a benchmark about how well do we construct or do we do our work. The standards is important, and we'll talk.
Meanwhile, the council admits that Chinese companies currently involved in various developments around the country are doing well. The council and relevant stakeholders are working to address the issue. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
The recovery and rebuilding from the impacts of Cyclone Winston in 2016 remains a top priority for the government. However, there's a need for more construction experts in the country. During an international engineering symposium in Suva today, Acting Minister for National Disaster Management, Miriseni Vuniwanga, highlighted how TC Winston caused great infrastructural damage. Kelly Vadala reports.
The housing sector sustained the greatest damage after TC Winston 2 years ago, and the government is now looking to address some of the challenges affecting this development.
The need for experts like construction engineers to relook at the building code and provide recommendations on how the building code can be effectively applied across different boundaries and sectors.
The South Pacific Engineers Association president says there's a high demand for civil engineers worldwide.
What it means is that we are lagging behind and we are getting worse, in my opinion, unless forums like this meet together and we take the message to policymakers, development partners, business community.
Fiji can learn from the experiences of other countries who have recovered from similar disasters. We can share best practice on how to improve collaboration between government and the private sector.
Around 300 participants, including local and international engineers, contractors, planners, infrastructure regulators, hardware suppliers, and various government ministries attended the one-day symposium. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Still to come, child cardiac unit could save hundreds. And children to be involved in disaster risk reduction activities. Stay with us.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo tali taka na varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and the moi viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kombinasyon mo tikola ndo tali taka na Radio Fiji 1 kina ndo moi viti.
Ayam kuya zo sila tali, nagurara may naomani, nandunga. Gitu tali taki na ndo pina sabale po nagunto rongo. Varorong na Radio Fiji 1 nando moi viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 nando moi viti na bonga ni BNN.
A visiting heart surgeon who conducted 27 heart surgeries at Suva's CWM hospital last week believes Fiji needs to have its own pediatric cardiac unit. According to statistics, around 200 children in Fiji are born with congenital heart disease every year, and at least 100 need some form of surgeries. Pranita Prakash reports.
India's Sri Satya Sai Sanjeevani Hospital head surgeon Dr. Ashish Katewa says overseas surgical teams conducting surgeries in Fiji is not the solution to this problem.
All these visiting teams who come here would operate maybe around 25 or maybe 50 such operations in a year. There's still a backlog of 50. And there's also a backlog of kids who have survived to reach a certain age without treatment. So I would imagine there's a large number of kids still undetected in the country.
This was supported by Medical Coordinator for local Sai Prema Foundation, Dr. Krupali Tapu.
However, there are always times when some children need urgent surgery and we don't have an option here in Fiji, and some of these children will continue to die, and that's really a sad reality. Now, the ultimate goal needs to be that a local unit needs to be established.
Meanwhile, the Sai Prema Foundation has offered full-time scholarship to CWM Hospital's Pediatric Registrar, Dr. Marian Korai, to further her studies in pediatric cardiology in Raipur, India.
I'll be going next Wednesday to train basic echocardiography and also pediatric cardiology for the next 3 months.
The visiting teams, consisting of specialists from India, United States and Oman, operated on 27 children who had heart problems. The youngest patient was a 2-month-old baby, while the oldest was a 14-year-old boy. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
The Accident Compensation Commission of Fiji has received 24 applications, of which 20 are for personal injuries and 4 applications for death-related accidents. The Commission says it's received many applications since its inception in January. However, some Fijians did not meet the criteria. Rachel Nath reports the pending cases before the Commission is expected to be processed as soon as legal procedures are met.
The Accident Compensation Commission was established to improve the services given to victims of motor vehicle accidents.
Address the challenges and the limitations and the frustrations of the old legislation. It was limited in scope in terms of who it covered. It covered third parties only. There were challenges in respect of costs of engaging counsel and lawyers.
Chief Executive Pervez Akbar says many Fijians are still unaware of the processes involved as the legislation is still new.
The applications for personal injuries, basically the time to assess them, that does depend on the extent of the injury and the medical assessment. So the way it works is there's a waiting period before a final assessment is done for a person's impairment or incapacity. And so that period depends on the extent of the injuries and so on.
We are glad that we now have a system that is victim-friendly. We have a system that is not driven by lawyers or insurance companies. And we have a system where it has a personal touch and is looking at ensuring that the victims of accidents, tragic accidents, or even accidents that cause injuries are actually given some due recognition.
The government allocated $1 million to the Commission in the 2017-2018 national budget. However, they've collected $2.6 million from January through the new levy deductions. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
The increasing number of inmates from Tailevu will be a topic of discussion during the Tailevu Provincial Council meeting on Thursday. Tailevu Provincial Council Chairman Rusiate Tundravu says there are around 170 inmates from Tailevu in correction facilities around the country, the highest compared to other provinces. Tundravu says another major topic that will also be discussed will include ways of reducing flooding in and around the province. The 2-day meeting that will be held in Nakelo will be officially opened by Prime Minister Vorengen Bainimarama. This will be followed by a Talanoa session with the head of the nation.
We'll be discussing further on also in regards to the future developments. There also will be invited guests that will become prominent people, successful businessmen, other entities, just to come and advise the council on how we can do better from what we are currently doing.
Children are important resources who can assist with disaster preparedness plans, response, recovery and resilience. Save the Children Fiji Chief Executive Iris Lowe McKenzie says children can be involved in disaster risk reduction activities to promote these efforts and evaluate approaches. Kelly Vadala reports.
We've been rolling out
Save the Children Fiji is now visiting local communities and encouraging children to share their ideas on disaster reduction plan as part of their child center reduction project.
Getting the children to be engaged in resilience building, to share, sharing information with the children about what does it mean to be prepared, what are the hazards in their communities. Children see things from a different perspective, so the hazards or risks that adults may identify, children may identify other things.
The non-government organization has begun their research into informal settlements in Kalekana and Valinidina in Lami, with a third in one of the maritime islands.
We also want to understand, what do children think about resilience? We have all these academic theories and what is happening and what is disaster risk, what is resilience, but then also to hear it really from the communities and children, and to show that children, when they are given a chance, they can actually participate.
And most times there's a lot of focus on the adults, and they forget to actually talk to children and giving their inputs. Children, on top of that, are also agents of change, and they also, they go to school, so they know a lot.
Meanwhile, Save the Children Fiji says it's also important that community response plans are inclusive, including views from persons with disabilities and the elderly. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
In sports later, Fiji yachting to send 2 sailors to the World Championship, but we now join Rachel with business.
Thanks, Jackie. Good evening, and coming up in business tonight. Coca-Cola's new product well received by the public. And in Growing Fiji, FRA to carry out a new detailed transportation study. Stay with us.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफ्रिकी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन तो हुआ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट।
Leading business tonight, the new Coca-Cola No Sugar product, which was launched last month, has received a great response from the public. Coca-Cola Hamilton Head of Communications Neil Wanga says Fijians who are health conscious and follow strict diets tend to opt for Coke No Sugar. Wanga says they have invested a lot in the Coke No Sugar to assist Fijians to change their lifestyles. He adds they're really excited for the upcoming projects which will be launched soon.
We've invested a considerable amount, and it's taken 5 years of research and study and reformulation to get to this point. So a lot's gone into it, a lot of money's gone into it to give people the kind of beverages and options that they want.
And we now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest from the financial market.
Thank you. Let's look at the action on the South Pacific Stock Exchange last week. Atlantic and Pacific Packaging shares increased by 7 cents to conclude at $1.22. Amalgamated Telecom Holding shares recorded a 12-cent increase and ended the week at a new all-time high of $2.40. FMF shares recorded a growth of 3 cents and closed at $1.31. The share price of VB Holdings increased by 15 cents to $6.15. Envision Investment shares rose 2 cents to end at a new best price of $3.27. Meanwhile, Kinetic Growth Fund was the only stock recording a price reduction. The overall market capitalization increased by 2.82% and ended the week at $2.18 billion. And that's the wrap from our local stock market. Vinaka.
Thanks for the update, Sharon. Taking a look at today's currency exchange rate set this morning for the Fijian dollar. Our dollar made gains against our major trading partner, Australia and New Zealand, and also rose against the euro. As for the commodities market, all were down, with oil prices closing at $68.16 a barrel. Gold followed suit, closing at $1,333 an ounce, and silver closed at $17.06 an ounce. And Staying here in Fiji tonight, the Fiji Roads Authority will carry out a detailed transportation study later this year to improve traffic movement around the country. Chief Executive Jonathan Moore says the first study will be a detailed analysis of the Suva City Centre before moving to Lautoka, Nadi, Lambasa and other urban centres.
The intention of those studies is to look at traffic patterns, areas that can be pedestrianised, traffic signals, traffic signal orientation and timing, car parking, all aspects of traffic movement through a city. Now it's a very detailed study and that will lead on to what we suspect will be a considerable amount of work within the cities.
And that's it from Business Tonight. Now we join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thank you, Rachel, and good evening. In sports tonight, Fiji's Sevens team named for Singapore tournament. And VPL to resume matches this weekend. This and more coming up.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ. मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1. इट्स सो हॉट.
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे. मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट.
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफ्रिकी से. मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं. मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट. आई लव मिर्ची एफएम.
हमें स्पिन तो हुआ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
The inclusion of Keponi Paul and Seveloni Modenedangi is expected to boost the morale of the Fiji Airways 7 side as they prepare for the Singapore tournament this weekend. The team held its final training run at Prince Charles Park in Nadi earlier today before they fly out to Singapore later tonight. Felipe Nakaso has more.
The Fiji Sevens team going through their final team run at Prince Charles Park, ensuring that their game plan and strategy are all in order.
Look, I'm always looking for improvements, so I come back to a lot of the areas that we need, and unless you're making tackles, obviously it's a scrag game today, you can never really see what you look like defensively until real tackles are being made and real decisions. But we worked hard without the ball today, which is what I ask of them, and in attack we were good.
The squad also sees the inclusion of police wing Keponi Paul and Seveloni Modenedangi replacing Chasa Verimalua and Semi Kunatani, who has returned to France for club commitments. And with Vatemo Ravovo down with the flu and not travelling with the team, Tambadamo playmaker Tere Tamani has been included.
Both Terry and Keponi play in tournaments domestically here in Fiji, and they've both played well.
Coach Gareth Weber also testing out a few combinations during the final team run against Yamathea.
Good. Obviously we trained against Yamathea, boys that we obviously don't train against a lot of the time. Obviously they play a Fijian style of rugby, which obviously the boys can get into a little bit. But it's good training session for us before we fly out tonight.
Meanwhile, other regular players who are in the squad are Captain Jerry Tuwai, Mesula Mikunavola, Chosua Vakrunambili, Aisake Katanimbau, Kaloni Nasoko, Paulo Andrani Sinukula, Waisena Dhungu, Aminoni Nasilasila, Eroni Sao and Alessio Nanduva. Fiji kicks off its Singapore Sevens campaign against Japan at 5:36 p.m. on Saturday and then faces Russia at 9:02 p.m. The Cup quarterfinals kicks off at 4:30 p.m. Sunday afternoon, while the semi-finals starts at 8:50 p.m. The final is scheduled for 12 a.m. on Monday. Felipe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Airways Fijiana 7 side finished 6th at the Japan Sevens last night. The side went down to Russia 30 points to 7 in the 5th place playoff.
Fiji will bring it down in good hands. Little bobble managed to regain control though. Hagitha turning it inside and backing herself to go through the gap is Nao Basali. Nao Basali, is she going to go all the way? Lushina is chasing. She won't get a hand on her though, and that's a 70-metre run from Miriama. Nao Basali, an immediate response from Fiji. Fiji skips out of a tackle. Inside ball, fabulous hands, a little fan, and Mikhail Sova. They might be able to skip clear here. In fact, no, it'll be Mikhaltsova. She realises she's going to grab one more. She's got 10. Why not make it 11, Alena Mikhaltsova, for the weekend?
Yes, they're from Oita. Last year they hosted us, so this year we know that they'll make it here. Without them supporting us, we can hear some Fiji fans here, and that's why it boosts the bills.
The Fiji Yachting Association will send 2 elite sailors to participate in the Open Class World Sailing Championship in Denmark in July. Association Secretary Neville Coop says they are yet to select the best sailors to compete at the event, which Fiji will participate in for the first time. Meli Tabanga reports.
Fiji's participation at the World Sailing Championship is a huge boost for local sailors and the association.
We're sending a male and a female to that event. So this is all part of our program leading up to the Pacific Games for 2019. The sailors that we're sending to these events are several of our elites.
Team Fiji sailors will not only end in the World Championship, but they're already eyeing a spot in the next Olympics in 2020.
And do well. We aim to qualify for Tokyo in 2020 through the Oceania Championships event, which will come up around the new year.
The championship will be an eye-opener to the participating elite sailors as they will race against top sailors from around the world.
The sport, you sailing together with the 100 boat in the same course, and here we sailing alone or two laser is very different. We look in the more experience.
The World Sailing Championship will be held from July the 30th to August the 12th. Meli Tabanga, FBC Sports.
The Vodafone Premier League will resume with matches starting this week. After a 1-month break due to the unfavorable weather conditions, the league kicks off again on Friday. Fiji Football Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says with the long break, they hope the excitement and fan support continues from where it left off.
Fiji FA League Board is happy to announce the resumption of Vodafone Premier, Senior and Women's League matches coming weekend, 28-29. And of course on the 27th, 5:30 p.m. at Ratha Park, we'll have the Rewa versus Daketi match. And at 7:30 it will be Suva versus Rambasa. It will be a crack-off match.
Fijian speedsters Waisake Naholo and Tivita Nambura are excited at the prospect of playing in front of their home fans when the Highlanders take on the Chiefs at Suva's NZ Stadium on June 30th. Barring any injuries or changes to the current squad, Naholo and Nambura should be part of the Highlanders lineup that will host the Chiefs in Suva. Looking forward to the Round 17 Super Rugby clash, Naholo says any Fijian Super Rugby player would love to play in Fiji in front of their family and fans.
I'm really excited about it. I've seen the other teams go over there and I kind of wanted to go as well. And for the Highlanders to go, I'm really excited about it, and I'm pretty sure all my family and friends back in Fiji are excited as well to see the Highlanders come over.
The Jaguares continued with their impressive form in Super Rugby, defeating the Brumbies 25-20 last night, a result Fiji-born winger Henry Spate certainly did not hope for in his 100th game for the Brumbies. The Latoka football team drew 1-1 against Marist FC in the OFC Champions League semi-final at Churchill Park. Down by a goal, Blue striker Osebak Talisao scored the equalizer in the second spell. Meanwhile, in the other semi-final, Team Wellington held defending champions Auckland City to a 0-0 draw. In today's Play of the Day, World Rugby's fastest female rugger Portia Woodman was again at her best as New Zealand claimed the Japan Sevens title, beating France 24-12 over the weekend. Woodman showing why she's the best when the Black Ferns were down to 6 players. Take a look.
Who's got Woodman outside her? Woodman, one-on-one, she'll fancy her chances against Chloe Bell. She's got a rugby outside of her. Portia Woodman creating something out of nothing, and she will score to give New Zealand their advantage back.
Sensational work there by Woodman. Individual brilliance there to back her pace.
That's it from Sports Tonight. Join Angie later on with weather, and in the world of the weird and the wonderful, A look at how plastic is contributing to food wastage. Details coming up.
Bula, keron mai singatoka, keron do talita kana varorong na radio Fiji 1 and do moi viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kung minasong putikola, do talita kana radio Fiji 1 kina do moi viti.
Kaya kuyazo sila tale, nagurara may naomani, nandunga. Gitu talita gini ang gitu pinasabali, nagudurong barong na radio Fiji 1 nando moi viti.
Na radio Fiji 1 nando moi viti na bonga ni BNN.
In new media, the Honor 7, 8 and 7C cost a fifth of the price of the iPhone X but promise faster face unlocking. And it's weather time now with Angie.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. It's another week and it's just Monday, but weather today was extremely beautiful and quite humid. So glad the sun is back, lighting everything up. Taking a quick look in the west for today, it was stunning and humidity was quite high. Eastwards from Pekhabarasuva, clear blue skies with cool breezes was amazing to see. And up north, school holidays must be awesome with the best sunshine. At sea, southeast winds gusting from 15 to 20 knots with moderate to rough seas. For the tides, high tide will be at 1:47 a.m. with low tide at 7:37 a.m. Sunrise will be at 6:18. For tomorrow, another brightly lit day can be expected, so keep hydrated. Tomorrow's temps, majority centers will be at 29 degrees. And looking further on to Wednesday, more sunshine in store for us, so enjoy while it's around. And that's all from the FBC Weather World. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fiji Pulse tonight, we asked, should we invest more in young athletes to develop them for international meets?
Yes, I believe our athletes should not only end their interest in the Coca-Cola Games and impress the Fiji athletics coaches with their performance to get international scholarships and exposure, because during the Coca-Cola Games in the last few weeks, I saw that Fiji was not a competition in the track events.
Yes, I think they should, because if they have ability to do it, then we should give them a chance to shine. To showcase what they really have.
They should invest some because they will represent us in the international game.
It's good to invest on those skills because the children have tended well in the Fiji family. And because investing in that is let a child to have a lifelong skill, even though they're not good academically, but they can be good in athletics.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, around the world, the food industry uses plastic to wrap its products to keep them fresh longer. But according to a new study, while the annual use of plastic packaging has grown since the 1950s, so has food waste. Recapping the main stories, EFL shares now available. Chief Justice says sex offenders registry should be balanced. And huge turnover in construction companies. Now for these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, the results from last week, we had asked, should harsher sentences be given out to those attacking police officers? 77% said yes. This week we are asking, do you think more should be invested to develop athletes to meet international standards? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, our shot of the day sent in by Kishore Mishra. Picture was taken at the Hideaway Resort. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, stay safe. Good night.
On the radio Fiji 1 and the Moi Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Usiku minasoma sekolah untuk talita na radio Fiji kena domili.
Ya kuyazo sile tale na gurara mai na omanyi na ndonga gitu talita kile ngi dubine sebale bu ngundu rongo barongo na radio Fiji na ndomibiti
na radio Fiji na ndomibiti na bonga ni BNN